Hi everybody, and welcome back to part 4 of the Tamiya 1/35th scale M2A2 Bradley. Let's do a quick recap. So last time I started the upper hull, started with step 6, completed step 6. Step 7 I did with the exception of the tracks and wheels, because I like to paint that first and the wheels off of the vehicle as well as the tracks, get all that done before I do side skirts and move on. So didn't do that. I did step 8, then I went on to step 9, and again, because I have not glued the running gear on, I did not put the side skirts on yet. And any of the detachable equipment like spare tracks, tools, ammo boxes, anything like that, in steps 9, 10, and 11, I left those parts off because I want to paint those after I've painted the camo on the vehicle. Just makes it a little bit easier, especially doing something like a NATO scheme where there's a lot of pattern to it. So I'm basically done with those exceptions up to 11. So now it's time to start the turret, which is step 12. All right, the first parts I need to cut. I need to cut off B15 and the transparent part. So let me get those out. We'll take a look at them, and I'm going to decide how I'm going to tackle that, because that actually needs to be done before the hull is actually assembled. So let's get part B15, and I'll just give a quick, very quick, one part, if you're just joining with this endeavor, how I cut off and clean parts. So we got part 15 here. I take my cutter, in this case the Tamiya, really nice cutter, I don't remember what model number it is. Cut it back a little bit from the sprue. Then I take the same cutter and I cut it off really close to the part. And with these sharp cutters, a lot of times it won't leave any sprue gate residue. And then I take my sanding stick. If there's any mold seam lines or anything like that, I can tackle that very carefully. If there was sprue gate left, I'd be sanding that smooth as well. So that's basically it. So I'm going to clean this up the rest of the way and take a look at that clear part. Okay, it fits on there pretty good. So what I'm going to do first, though, is I am going to, because this part is supposed to be painted clear blue, so I'm going to do that. But first I am going to, I think what I'll do is I'll glue it in place, and then I'm going to have to make, actually before I do that, I'm going to make some masks, because I'm going to need to mask this side here so it doesn't get painted up during the painting of the camouflage scheme. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some tape, the old Tamiya tape here. I need a piece that big, but, and then let's see. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. Using my handy dandy Infinity Easy Cutting Type A cutting mat. Hopefully my dog isn't out in the way. I'm going to take my tape and I'm going to line it up on the top line like that. So in doing a little bit of looking, you might not be able to see it. Hopefully you can. This side here, the smaller side, if I do this 0.8 right here, if I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 of those. That should be just the right amount to fit in there. So then all I have to do is cut it to length, cut that little angle. So let's try that. So let's see. Make my slice here. Nice sharp blade is a good idea. Well, it's the best idea actually. That might be kind of narrow. Let's try this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 of these. Like that. Let's take a look. So let's do this. Let's cut this off. These cutting mats are really phenomenal. That's Californian for phenomenal. Oh man, that's right. That's perfect. So then, set that aside, save it in case I need it. Then what I'm going to do is taking this, I'm going to line this up on the top there. Well, I'm going to do it this way. I don't want to scar up that mat. I'm going to have to do this off camera. Well, let me zoom out. Basically, I'm just going to line this up like this. Trim it like that. It's got a little bit of a curvy looking business there, and then like that. See how that looks. Cut a little bit too much. So you get the idea. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do this off camera so it's a little bit easier, and then we'll come back. Alright, so I got that. So now I just need to glue this part on here, and I'm going to have to let it set up really well so I don't pop it off whenever I glue the, or when I put the masking tape on it. So let's see, how am I going to glue this? That is the question. Because it is quite a snug fit. So I think what I'm going to do, I think I'll try my Clear Parts Cement and Window Maker. All right, got a little dab right there. So then I'm going to carefully, let's see, I'm going to carefully, using my high-tech applicator tool here, I'm just going to spread not too thick because I don't want it to ooze out any more than necessary. All the way around. Now, worst case scenario, this doesn't work and I have to cut a new one of these, which I don't want to do. But sometimes. Okay, so there's that. So now the trick is putting it in place without smearing the glue. Now there's a little bit of a bow to the part. I'm going to put the bow facing up because I think it'll be a little easier to smash it down in the middle than it will be in the corners. So let's get my tweezers. Like that, and then using a couple of clamps, clamp it in place thusly. Okay, I'm gonna have to let that just set up good. So in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead, cut the rest of these parts off. C6, C5, B4, E8. I'm gonna cut those off and get those ready. All right, I got these parts cut off. Now, this is the machine gun here, and what I need to do is I need to hollow out the barrel. I've already cleaned up the seams and all that stuff. So if you've seen these videos before, just suffer through it. This is in case somebody's just catching this video for the first, my videos for the first time. But I like to take a hobby knife with a nice sharp tip, get it centered, and then spin it around a few times to start a pilot hole. Then I take one of my really small drill bits here. Hopefully this one's not too big. Put it in that pilot hole and then carefully hollow the barrel out. What that does is it makes it look just a little bit more realistic. It's realistic as a little teeny tiny plastic machine gun barrel can look. Okay, so you end up with that. Looks a little bit better than just a plain flat piece of plastic. Then once you get it painted, you probably won't even notice it at all, but closer inspection, it is a hollowed out barrel. It's not just a flat piece of plastic. So there's that. So, let's see. So I've got these parts cut off. I guess I'm going to let that dry a little bit more. We can do a little test fit here, see how it looks. This goes in here first, which is the lower half of the turret, and then fits together like that. There's locating pins that you need to line up. There we go. Okay, and it does show in the instructions, they anticipate that you're going to need to hold it together somehow. They recommend cellophane tape, but I'll probably use clamps. But yeah, but what that does, that adds a little bit of friction to keep the gun up. Not that the gun, has very much weight to it, but anyway, that is that. So anyway, that all fits together, and then I'll probably glue this in after I get it all together, because I don't want to take a chance of snapping it off. As a matter of fact, I'll probably end up gluing that in there after I paint the vehicle, just so I don't have to worry about breaking it off. So let me check this, and then we'll come back if it's ready and start gluing this stuff together. All right, it glued together really well, so I'm stoked. So now I'm going to go ahead and put these masks on here, just so they're out of the way and taken care of. This fits right in there like that. I'm going to hold the back because I don't want it accidentally popping out. Just kind of press it into place there. Nothing's coming out, so we're good. Yeah, I like that. Okay, that worked out good. Okay, then we'll do the other one. Now, just as a tip, I had to cut this one twice, because when I cut it the first time, I had the part upside down, so what I needed was a mirror image of it. So I just had to recut it real quick. It's real easy. That one fits really good too. Wow, I'm stoked. Okay, so before I glue this part in, I need to paint this with the clear blue. So if you've been hanging out here lately, I've been trying to use water-based acrylics. Well, in this case, I'm not going to be able to. I'm going to have to use my Tamiya X23 to paint the back of this. That way, when I peel that off, it'll have the clear blue. So using my, let's see, which one? I think I'll use this one. So I'm going to mix this paint up and spray it on here. I'm not going to video that. You've seen me paint before, hopefully, but I'll be using this airbrush, the X23 thinned with Tamiya X20A. So let me get this done and I'll show you what it looks like. Well, I decided to go ahead and show you. I got my paint mixed up here, and I didn't use the A20A either. I used the Ultimate Modeling Products with some flow improver in it. That's what I've been using just before I gave up on Tamiya paints. Okay, that looks good, so let's give it a shot. Man, I can't wait to see what it looks like on the other side. Okay, so there it is. So I'm going to set that aside to dry and hopefully not forget that I need to install it. Clean up my airbrush. Alright, the part's dry, so now I can glue it in place. So hopefully I can do it without getting any paint or cement under the tape. So let's see, how does this go? Whoops. Get the old tweezers. Oh my goodness. Keep dropping it. So I'm thinking, I got it in backwards, of course. Well, not backwards, but upside down. It's tapered. So there we go. Yeah, much better. Okay, there's a little ridge right there that it butts up against. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold that and I'm going to put some cement on this bottom part first. Hope it doesn't seep all the way around and leave a fingerprint. So we got that. There we go. And then I'll push it a little bit more over this side here so it's touching, because there was a gap and there's not a gap on that side. So there we go. So then I can put some cement here, a little bit right on the edge there, and I think that's good. That's going to hold it. I don't want to glue it in the top because I don't want it to mess up my, potentially mess up my paint. So we got that in place. So now we can start gluing this together. So let's put this back in, whoops, into this part. And the gun, the machine gun mount goes on this side, the coax. And then we simply, or maybe not so simply, fit this together. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue all of this around here first and then deal with the front, because those are kind of isolated from this, so I don't have to worry about cement getting over there, and I can get this all glued and clamped really good, and then get it glued together nicely. Yeah, like that. So let us begin. Okay, start here, and then there, there. And remember, I'm going to clamp all this stuff, so there. Oh man, that was close. I almost stuck my finger in the cement. That would have been heinous. All right, so we're all good. So take some clamps, start here, and I'll sand it down a little bit, those edges, to make sure everything looks good. All right, so let's let that set up. Take a little breaky break, come back, and we'll deal with the front. All right, so here's what I'm going to have to do, because there's a pretty sizable gap right here, and it's taken a little bit of effort to get it together. And it looks like by clamping it here, whoops, now it's not going to go back together. By clamping it right there, that is going to give me the best that's going to give me the best joint. Now this part that goes on the side here, fortunately the way it fits, there's supposed to be a gap all the way around it, so that is okay. I'm not having to sweat that too much. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of sanding right here with this overhang, because there's not really any way that I can see to get it to close up. Let's try this. I'm not sure if that's going to work, because I don't want to create a gap here by having those parts twisted around. So I think, let me ponder for a moment. All right, so I'm just going to take this right here. So I got a clamp pulling this back, this holding that together. So I'm going to have to glue it from the inside like that, and hope that the glue gets all the way down in there. Like that. So a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to let that set up really good and then come back. Okay, so that side's glued okay, looking good. Now I need to do this side, and I'm going to do something similar, but this one's only going to take a squeeze right about there. That one won't be bad. it's actually in pretty good shape. Let's see. So let me put some glue in there. Let's see if I can squeeze that together. Eliminate the gap. All right, that looks pretty good. So again, I'll let that dry good. And now after it's had time to dry, I take the clamps off and take a look, see if I need to do any sanding to further make it look right. That looks pretty good. Let me hit it with a sander here, sanding stick. Let's see what it does. Yeah, that looks pretty good. A little bit of a gap there, so I may have to do something with that. Let's check this side here. So let me cut this. So that finishes step 12. So let me cut off part E21 for step 13 and see how that covers on that sloping edge there that I might have to put some filler in. Okay, I'm not even gonna have to mess with filling that in because this plate here overhangs the bottom, so I'm good there. So I'm going to cut all the pieces off there, which is E21, A7, B52, which I had already cut off in the last segment, E4, A41, etc. So I'm going to cut all those parts off, and then we come back and put them all on there. And with all the parts cleaned up, now we can install some. So let's do this one first, the Mantlet. It only goes on one way because you got the machine gun on that side. I put the glue in from the underneath like that. Okay, and then we got E35, which is this armored bit of Mantlet business here. And let's see. Basically, it looks like it lines up with these pins and these molded in business there. So let's get this glue out. I don't don't know how well it's going to stick because it looks like there's some little raised ridges there, so we'll see. Oh yeah, yeah, they fit on the outside of the mantlet, so that's good. Stands off just a little bit, so you know, there we go. That's better. Yeah, you got to watch those little, I mean, they're just barely little protrusions on that mantlet, and if you don't have it lined up right, the mantlet won't lay flush. Because I don't think this is supposed to be like spaced armor or anything like that, like some vehicles had. There we go. Okay, something to watch for. Just make sure those indentations line up with the square cut out in the back. Okay, let's go ahead and put on E21. We'll just work our way back from the front. I sanded all the way around this thing and forgot this one edge. There is a seam line in there, so mold seam line. So it's kind of got to get that handled. Let's test fit it. Looks good. Same thing. Run a little bit of liquid cement there. Then I might as well do this. Lifting eye there. If I can keep a hold of it. Just make sure it's smashed down into place so the seam disappears all the way around. A little bit more cement right there. Okay, then the next part is E24, and that goes on the top here, and there's not really any locator pins or anything like that, so you just kind of have to eyeball it. And from what I can see, this should rest up against this other plate here. So let's put a little bit of cement on here. And like that. There we go. All right, then B52 goes there. Put a little cement all the way around. Now I want this to flatten out there, so I'm going to use a clamp and smash that baby on there. like that. And like that. I want it flat all the way around. So I'm going to let that dry for a second. Let's see, maybe I can put this part on. This one goes here. Okay, there is a ridge right there, and it needs to fit along the edge of that right there. So a little cement on here. Let's focus it on this side so it doesn't seep through where that detail is here. Like that. And then, lastly but not leastly, got this periscope right here. Oh man, like that. I tell you, Tamiya's come a long way with their kits, because nowadays there'd be a slot there and a nice clear part for the periscope that you could mask off the lens and paint it all, and it would look like real glass. But they hadn't got that far yet back in these days of 1991. All right, so that takes care of everything on step 13. So let's look at step 14, which is the other side of the turret. So this needs to dry for a bit, so I'm going to let that sit. While that's drying, I'm going to take some of my track painting skewers, or not track, but wheel painting skewers, and start getting these things ready to prime along with the hull. These are just old pieces of sprue that I've kept for just such purposes, and they are perfect for the poly cap / sleeves that are so common on Tamiya kits. Alright, I got my primer mixed up, so let's get it poured into the airbrush and start spraying. Now with the lower hull primed, all of the wheels primed, and the tracks primed, I can move on to the first bit of paint. So the first thing I want to do for paint is I want to paint the rubber portion of the tires, or of the road wheels. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use Mission Models Tire Black. And I'm going to spray the rubber portions all the way around. And then, once that dries, I can do some masking and paint the green, first color. So let me get this ready and come back. Okay, I've got it mixed up, and it is about a 33 1/3 to 66 2/3 mixture. And I gotta say that I've used it once before, and I really like the Mission Models Tire Black. It's a really good facsimile of Tire Black color. So let's get painting. And that's what I end up with. So I'll just let that dry, and then I can make some masks to spray the center part. So let's get back to the turret. So we're starting on step 14, which is the right side of the turret. So I've got a lot of parts to cut off, so I'm going to go ahead and cut all those off, get them ready, and then I can start gluing them in place. First thing I did was I took the barrel, and I got all the seams taken care of on there, the mold parting lines. And then I did the same thing as before with the coax machine gun and drilled out the end of the barrel. So, and I'm pretty stoked at that because I used to have a lot of trouble with that, but ever since I've started using my X-Acto knife to start a pilot hole, things work a lot better. So let's start gluing stuff on. Let's start here. So we have this part, and then this goes right on here like that. And yeah, so we'll put that there. Let's see if I can do this without getting any fingerprints all over it. Find my cement here. I don't even know what this thing is, but it looks cool. And then there's a square peg there that fits in that that hole there. Little cement there and there. Gently push into place without smashing any glue out the sides. So we got that, and then let's do let's go ahead and glue these armor plates on the sides. So this one goes here. So let's get out my other cement here so I don't get it where I don't want it. That, and then this piece here, there is no locating pins or anything like this. Let's do this one first. So this one goes here, so we'll do the same thing. trick is picking it up without getting my fingers in the glue. 2 locating pins and holes. There's a little bit of slop, so just make sure that these plates are lined up. So then this one, glue that there. Okay, so there's that. Then I'll put this, I don't know what that is, some kind of periscopy sight kind of thing. Press that firmly into place and make sure it is perpendicular to the top. And then got the antenna mounts. Put those in place there. Make sure it's straight. And then the other antenna mount here. Now one thing I'm doing, whoops, I need to scrape a little bit off here. One thing I'm doing is there is a kind of a slot looking groove on this spring part, and I'm facing that in just because I think it'll be less noticeable, because that's where you're supposed to glue the stretch sprue or wire antenna or whatever you're going to use. I just think it'll be a little less noticeable facing inward. Okay, so there's that, and then glue the barrel. Now, there's supposed to be, yeah, barely see it, but there's a notch right there. It faces this direction, so it fits like that. That way you get the, because this has detail on the flash hider or whatever it's supposed to be. So put a little bit of cement there, and there we go. Just like that. All right, so that finishes step 14. Okay, now that all that's dry, I can move on to these lower parts. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off all these parts and get them ready. We'll glue them together. First, I am going to do this one here. And it goes like that. There is a lip there that hangs over that part there, so that makes that easy to locate. So it's just a matter of getting it on there and then sliding it place like that. I'm going to put a little bit of cement under this edge here. There we go. Ooh. Okay, and then this one here goes there. That's a pretty small one, so I'm going to use this. Now this part here needs to go here. So, yeah, okay. I just wanted to make sure this part was fitting correctly. Where this is, I think this is a smoke discharger. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that in, and then I'll glue the tubes in separately after this is in place, because I just think it'll be easier. Then let's see. I'm just going, what I'm doing is I'm just circling around the I'm just circling around. Okay, this one here. I'm going to put a little bit of liquid cement in there as well. And then these here, I'm not sure what these are. I don't know if they're ammo. They look like ammo boxes, but it just seems like a weird place for an ammo box. I don't know what those are, but it's some kind of a storage container. But there's a large pin and a small pin and corresponding holes. So again, that's one of those things that'd be kind of hard to get it in the wrong spot. And then this part here goes here. And this one, I need to make sure, let's see. Okay, this one isn't very, let's see. Yeah, there's a single bolt and double bolts, and it goes like this. But I need to figure out, yeah, this hole right here needs to line up with this here. So I need to make sure that hole lines up like that. All right, then That goes like that. Make sure it's lined up nice and square. Now with that, I can put these in place. So what I'm going to do This is funny. This is one of those operations I remember from the one I did back in the 80s that this kind of freaked me out, because all there is just a very small bump that corresponds with the hole on the bottom of this piece right here. And I thought, man, I don't want to get them crooked. Because that's the reason right there, because they're not real positive in their connection. There we go. That's a little better. I'm sure somebody could probably see them and say, oh, they're supposed to be more at this angle, blah, blah, blah. Well, I can only go with what I got here as far as illustrations and such. So they'll just have to, do. Well, that looks pretty good. So I'll go ahead and do this other one off camera. And that completes step 15. So now I'm going to work on the turret ring, which is C2, C3, and B7. Then I'll also need part E6. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this part on, which goes right here. Okay, so that fits like that. So something to watch for, when this piece is glued on right here, there'll be a little lip left. That's supposed to be like that. So if you ever decide to build this kit, that's the way it's supposed to be. Now there's a little bit of molten like glue seepage I need to scrape off right there so this part will fit. I should have done this earlier, but I didn't. So let me just put this glue on here and this piece right here like that. Whoops, slid. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of liquid cement, some Tamiya extra thin right here. So I want to make sure it sticks down good. I want to maintain an even seam line there. Okay, so let that set up, and then gotta glue these two turret ring pieces together, and it fits like this. So it's got that little shape there, that little shape there. That is the way it fits. So let's turn it. Oh, let's see. Let's make sure. Yeah. So according to the illustration, this goes like this. This piece right here goes on this side. So that goes there. And there's, yeah, see that protrusion there fits that side and that side, and you can't get them mixed up because they are different sizes. So that's quite handy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue it where those points attached first, like that. And this one over here. Like that. And then I'm going to run some cement all along this because it's a little bit flexible. I don't know if it'll hurt anything, but I just want to make sure that it all cements together right pretty. All right, like that. And then flip this over, this part here, 2 holes, 2 pins. And what that is that is the platform, whoops, for the tank commander should you choose to use him. And I am going to use him. Not the best figure in the world, old Tamiya figure, but I do want to practice with some painting. And as I said early on, I'm considering putting this on a base. So it would behoove me to have a figure to go along with it. So then, glue this. Glue this part on here. And let's see, how does it go? So like that and like that. Yep. So that part right there fits right there. And that fits there. Just like that. Splendid. So let me glue that. Yeah, that fits on there nice and snugly. Lots of contact area there, so it's going to hold on there really well. Alright, just kind of smash that on there. And voila, that finishes step 16. So with that, I'm going to end this video here. Next time, we'll pick up with step number 17. So, as always, thanks for watching Plastic Models by a Regular Dude. If you have any questions, hints, tips, concerns, just want to chat, see what's going on, leave a comment in the section or comment section down below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So as always, thanks for watching Plastic Models by a Regular Dude, and I will see you all later.